I joined the radio, Harvard radio station my freshman year, looking for something to do and for a community to belong to. And so I did that for 4 years. I did the news show, announced classical music, and Kennedy was assassinated my sophomore year. So that was an opportunity to experience a lot of growth in the station because we were right there in Kennedy's hometown, basically, and could create stories. And the networks took an interest in what we were doing. So that was exciting, and it was a community. But I wasn't into storytelling or anything like that. And then because I was supposed to be an academic, I went from Harvard to graduate work in Columbia and probably would have stayed there and had become a hopeless alcoholic, a member of the faculty, if 1968 hadn't come along and then drop kicked me into the life I wanted to live. Everything shut down and I no longer could be grinding away at that and I could take more of an interest. And let me add one other element, which I'm a little hesitant because whenever you say it, people immediately rush to conclusions. But a very big factor in my life at that particular point was getting stoned. I don't think if I had finally had marijuana affect my nervous system, that I would have been able to make some of the changes that I did. It was around when I was in college, try it, nothing happened. They even had LSD. Alpert and Leary were still in the Harvard faculty, but nothing, didn't quite get it. And then one day, as a graduate student, somebody gave me a joint, smoked it, and all of a sudden, I was stoned. And being stoned was suddenly realizing that I had emotions. I had feelings. I had never, I had grown up to keep all that stuff very tightly walled in, never to ask for help, never to complain about what we were going through. That was the example my parents gave me. You soldier on. But all of a sudden, I realized how aware and connected I was to so much that was going on around me. And that, I think, gave me the impetus. I didn't stay stoned constantly for the rest of my career in graduate school. But at that point, I realized this isn't for me. So I went back to Boston, where I had been in college in that area of the country. I'd also fallen in love with somebody who didn't want to live with me in New York. And started looking for something to do that would involve writing or performing. And that's where my blessed good luck came along. Public broadcasting was just getting started. And that meant that the doors were open to people to come in from the bottom up. And all of a sudden, I was working on a comedy pilot with this new portable equipment that was also part of the revolution, videotape and doing a comedy special. We did a half-hour show that became a pilot for a PBS series that never got funded called Mother's Little Network. But then I also started doing commentaries for the 10 o'clock news. And then a little bit later, along came public radio. And public radio was, if anything, at that point, a storytelling medium. If you tuned into All Things Considered, you didn't get a whole bunch of headlines and this hard news approach, that said, we're competing with the big boys. What you got was, with our resources, we're going to explore the subject. We're going to explore it from the point of view of what it would be like if you were that person, or if you were going through that experience. And that opened up a whole series of possibilities for me too. This is a great way to tell somebody a story, not to be an authority about the news or whatnot. I mean, you had to have journalistic ethics, but so that became radio for me. And then this technical revolution was going on, which allowed you to add all these sound effects and spatial effects and began to develop a large audience. So that's kind of like how radio came into the picture for me. And 40 years later, still here.